damp in here this morning. I'm not quite sure if that came in under the door or seeped up through the wall. It shouldn't have seeped up through the wall. Shouldn't have. And yeah, all across there is wet. Of course, the dog's footprints are wet. So are mine, I think. Pretty sure we're going to have a bunch over here. Because the other side of that wall is a couple feet of dirt anyway. Usually isn't an issue, but once in a while the gopher or a mole will get a little close to the wall and run it right into it, and it comes. Yeah, little things that should have been done differently. Let's see. It's almost 4:30. There's 1 3/4 inches of rain in the gauge. That was dumped at 5 o'clock last night. Hasn't rained all night. There's been pretty good periods where it didn't, but it's hitting again heavy now, sort of. And I have no idea what the creek looks like yet. I'll get that when it gets daylight. In the meantime, sit in here and listen to the drip come down that hits that tarp wherever the drip is. And that's part of what gets here because it comes through the tarp and makes its way to the floor. I'll bring you something today. Maybe I'll work on this today, unless I'm out digging ditches like I was part of the day yesterday. Up here into the deck where it's half dry. Remember seeing a shot of that in last night's video? That's a good 4 feet higher than it was. And the bank gets wider as it gets higher. So there's literally 8 or 10 times more water in the creek today than there was yesterday. Plus the old creek bed's pretty well filled up. And I just heard tomorrow's supposed to be like this too. Well, they said it was only going to be today. The 4:30 this morning, the rain gauge over here had 1 3/4 inches in it, and I dumped it at 6 o'clock last night. And it looks like it's probably over 2 inches by now. I'm not going to go out there with the camera on and show you. I'm going to barn hop and get something done. Show this quick. As you know, these little bales, Maury baled up for us, come off of one of Lauren's fields. Literally the day after I put these bales in the barn, some of these bales on the edge. Broken one there in the middle of the screen. Broken one there against the bin. 2 broken ones right above the bin. 3 broken ones right here. 2 more right there looking at us. The one they're sitting on is broken. The whole row they were sitting on was broken. I went through like 4 days after we put these in here, and anything I could reach, the twine was broke. I pulled the broken twine off. Because otherwise, it's going to get mixed in. Here's a piece of twine I just took off. It's not even a half a piece. They've been busy. This is literally crazy. Because we've had straw stored in barns for years. We've cleaned out barns that had straw left in them for like 10 years. Even over the top of the versatile, there's a whole bunch. I'm just waiting for them to finish breaking and fall down. That whole corner, there's 4 broken ones right there you can see. That doesn't hold the stack very well. I was just chatting with Bruce, and I told him I thought maybe Maury was using mouse bait twine, and maybe he run all that twine through some cheese whiz first. I'm beginning to think so. And with what I've taken out here, I haven't seen any mice yet. But it's taken me a long time. But I've been out here since 4:30 this morning. I was in the shop for a little bit, but it's after 8 now. I planned on having all the bedding done before I fed, and I was going to feed before 8. They're still in the feed barn. They ain't bedded yet. And wheat straw, gotta love it. That's probably a dozen bales already. And it just doesn't, yeah. It takes at least twice as much to do the same job as oat straw. It doesn't help that we let this go so long and it's been wet. So it's going to take even more. But that's just the way it is this year. It's 10:30 now. Finally made it out here to show you what it looks like here now. Look a little different than last night. Just a wee bit. And I don't know if you can see it through the tree, there's a river coming out of that one hayfield. That started doing that about 15 years ago. There'd always been a spring in the middle of it that only time you noticed any moisture was in the spring when we'd spray and fertilize. Time we cut hay, it'd be done. But anymore, all winter long, there's, I don't know, 2-3 inches deep and a foot or better wide running out of there and down into the bottom. Yeah, over there where there wasn't anything this summer, there's a little now, right? And yeah, the hole under the bridge is completely covered. It's a good 6-8 inches up past the very top of the hole. And I just now got done spreading straw. That was fun. So many broken bales. The only good thing is I'm tall enough to stab chunks and then be able to throw them out. But that's a lot of walking back and forth with one little chunk on a pitchfork every time. So that realistically took me almost 5 hours to do what normally takes me 45 minutes to an hour by myself. And yeah, it's still raining. I expect to see this little puddle here in the bottom across the lane and connected back up over there by the cedar tree by tonight. Which means what I dug out and I didn't get picked up down there yesterday is going to float through the fence, hopefully not take the fence out. And then it'll be, oh, yeah, there's enough stuff in the creek down there. It'll still be our problem next spring. So, anyway, figured I'd show you that much. Seems to be a flow here. This is the first time. I mean, a little over here could have been coming from either direction, and I don't know. Somehow it's not getting outside the drain, so I guess I'm going to go out there with a shovel. It's even coming in back here and back here, which it's never done. I mean, we're used to it along this wall, where, I mean, like here, the ground is to the top of those jack stands. Maybe a little higher. You know, used to it back here. It happens. But hell. And that's a lot more water than there was earlier. Because it's everything behind the bench, behind the lathe. Just what I wanted to do. I was ready to take a break. There's a little more. Actually enjoying a break right now. It's not raining at all. Not even sprinkling. I'll show you something though. See that current? Yeah. I had a dog once that thought she was going to jump in and get something that was in there. She did it, a tree just this side of the pump site. I thought for sure she was going to be dead. Luckily she got at this corner and made it off to this side. You can kind of see a line in the middle of the screen. Well, that line is a little turbulent water, but it's up about 10 feet off out of the bank. She hit that and made it out. I put her on the tank on the three-wheeler and I brought her up and got her dried off. And she never did that again. She spent about a day sleeping. And yeah, it is over the bridge. See, there's a bunch of crap packed against the bridge. Hopefully it's not blocking the hole underneath. I don't think it is. Would have been nice if Dad would have made that bridge a wee bit wider. And I see a chunk on the other side spinning around. Right there between the two posts in the middle. Looks like, oh wait a minute. What am I looking at? that shouldn't be spinning around. There was something spinning around next to it. Oh, I see it now. Yeah, I'm looking at the steel pipe we drove in to hold the repairs because the piece was swinging next to it, and it's still down there. It's kind of going wherever. I see a chunk laying there too. Gotta be a bunch more. It's high enough that there's a bunch of crap coming down. And Ichabod. Come on, focus. It won't focus on him, but Ichabod's out looking for a bite. With the rain yesterday and then being as warm as it was last night, there was quite a few frogs piping up, and I thought, oh, Ichabod won't be starving now. But here it is. I don't know what's down there playing in the water. Zoom you in again. Right there in the middle of the screen, there's something in the water down there. Because there's rings. There's like 5 or 6 somethings right there. Interesting. Could be fish, could be frogs, could be whatever. And this was supposed to be over today, but yeah, last thing I heard, they're saying we're going to get it tomorrow too. I see some junk in the creek down there. It's not all reflections. So I'm going to call it a day. I've had a hard enough day spreading straw one pitchfork full at a time and digging ditches, trying to keep the shop from getting any wetter and trying to keep it out of the barn. And it's late enough. I'm going to let the cows into the feed barn. I still got to go up to the shop yet and shut the lights off. I'm going to leave the fan on tonight. I'm going to shut the door. Probably catch a glimpse of the rain gauge on the way by. See how much it really is. Last I saw it was at 2 3/4, and that's when I went in for lunch. I'm about an hour early, so they weren't exactly running to the gate. Takes them a few days, but they get the routine again. Like this morning, I didn't get grain fed till I got done spreading straw because I didn't want them all in the way. I figured some might have still been out here. No, none of them were out here. They were all in the barn, just all scattered out, so it didn't look like they were all there. And I didn't get their grain fed till after 10:30. The first thing I do when you feed the grain, you come right out here and shut the gate, and there was nobody out here at all. So it's kind of nice when they work on the honor system to a point. But there, you get to see most of them. A bunch of them are still enjoying their fresh straw. Well, it's drying slowly. Not like I can do much back there, behind the bench or behind the lathe. Squeegeed everything I could here, and with the air running and the water no longer running in, there's still a bunch of water behind all that stuff. Take everything out of there tomorrow, especially that cabinet. Get it dried up. I dumped 3 inches out of the gauge. I dumped 2 inches out last night. That's 5 inches in 2 days. And Becky was just telling me, what'd she say, Mount Hebo got 12 inches. So that'd be just today, since last night to today. And 3 or 4 other places on the coast got hammered pretty good. There's really good flooding down there. Why? Well, because they won't allow them to dredge the channel back out in the bay. So you got 3 or 4 rivers all dump into Tillamook Bay and go nowhere because there's no channel anymore. I don't even know if the Coast Guard can bring a damn boat up into the bay anymore. It's all small boats now. So they get hammered every time. Tillamook gets flooded good. Everybody around there gets flooded good. I was a kid, none of that got flooded because everything was always kept dredged out, and they actually had bigger boats in and out. So anyway, she says tomorrow we're just supposed to get showers. See what we get. Thanks for watching, everybody.